Hey guys, welcome into the video. It's Pete here from Flochat. So we've been asked by the guys to create a video on how to create mini apps with inside of Flochat. So whether you want to integrate a totally different platform into Flochat, okay, we're going to show you exactly how to do that. Although we're just going to show you a really basic method of adding in a different software into the actual mini apps itself. Okay, so in today's video then, we've been requested to create a video conferencing or a video support type of application that our users are currently using inside of their business. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be connecting Flochat with a video support or webinar platform called Whereby. All right, so we're going to break this video down into little chunks. So first off, we're going to hop over into the actual Whereby API documentation, where we're going to take a look and see what type of things that you need to look out for when you're obviously mapping out or creating the scope for your mini application. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pop over into the Flochat actual dashboard, where we're going to start creating this application using the code from the REST API from Whereby, and then we're going to show you the working model at the end. So you're probably going to learn some new things today, and you're going to actually probably see how quite easy it actually is. All right, so let's hop over into Wherby's API documentation. Okay, so here then, we're inside of Wherby's API documentation. This is just their help docs on Gitbook. So Whereby, if you're watching this video, be sure to check Flochat out because we've got an integration with Gitbook. Okay, I won't go into it, but you can find the video. I'm sure that you'll enjoy it. Anyway, so guys, so back into here, what we need to look at is a couple of different things because you can absolutely go crazy with API integrations, okay, building mini apps, that type of thing. But all we need to do is we need to extract the information that we actually need. And these things, what we're going to be looking at is called endpoints. But before we get into the endpoints, we need to look at the software's authorization or authentication process, because a lot of different softwares have different types of authentication or authorization processes, whether that be OAuth or whether that just be a basic bearer token. I already know that Whereby only has a basic kind of bearer token authentication process in there, so it just kind of really speeds up the build inside, all right? But whereas if you're integrating with things like I don't know, Airtable, then it's OAuth authentication, so the process is slightly different. But like I said, we're going to take this easy on you guys so you can understand the actual basics of actually putting one of these together, and I'm sure within a couple of days you'll get the hook on it and you'll be able to start creating your very own mini apps to serve with your own software that you actually use. All right, okay, so like I said then is we need to kind of look at the authentication process. So I'm just taking a look inside of this little tab here called using the REST API. So we just need to obviously adhere to what Whereby want us to do, because if we go starting building out of their scope and their parameters, then we're kind of really breaking their rules, and as developers we really don't want to break people's rules, okay, because it just ends up in a sticky mess. All right, so we're just taking a look down here. So creating rooms, yep. Okay, cool. We can take a look at here. We can see the different types of languages. Okay, the language that we're going to be building our kind of application in, although there's pretty much zero code in there, which I'm going to show you, is Curl. Curl here. Well, we're not going to be using PHP, Python, or anything Java. It's just all Curl. Okay, and this just showing us here a basic 201 or a 200 response from the request, and the kind of error response on how they handle it. And also deleting rooms, okay, because if you're creating a room, you may want to delete it, although inside the documentation it says here the meetings will be deleted automatically after 24 hours after the end date provided, okay, or we can actually delete it by using one of the endpoints inside of the API, and it's exactly what we're going to create today also. All right, so you're going to see us create the meeting and also delete the meeting. All right. Okay, so let's pop down and let's take a look here. So there's tons of more information here, but we're just going to go into the main REST API reference right at the bottom here. Okay, so here then, this is just some information on how, with like their limitations, authentication. Let's just go back up there. it's gone crazy. Don't know what's going on there. Okay, just with like their rate limiting, their authentication processes and things like that. So you guys can take a quick read through their limits, okay, just to make sure that they work with you guys. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick look at their authentications. And like I said, it's just a simple bearer token. Okay, so basically it's authorization, bearer, API key, done and dusted. Okay, really, really simple stuff. All right, so down then we're going to take a look at the actual endpoints, okay, or what do we want the application to actually do? So in our instance then is that we want users to be able to create meetings on the fly, so they can send out a flow to their user or have a button inside of their website chat where it's like chat to video support, click here. Okay, so on and so on and so on. So this is one of the ones we're going to be creating today, which is the post request. And we're going to take a little bit deeper look inside of the actual functionalities within inside that. Okay, so getting meetings, do we need to get any meetings? So if you need to get any meetings, then you could possibly add this type of stuff on. But as we know, most of the information or all of this information is within inside of the whereby builder anyway. You'd use this type thing if you're building a full standalone application that you're building inside of your web program or wherever it may be. All right, but we're going to keep it simple where we're simply going to create a meeting, and also coming down then you'll see we've got the delete meeting endpoint here saying delete. Okay, so we've got a create or a post and also a delete request. Okay, so we can come down then, we'll take a look at some of the put requests. So basically this is some of the branding, which you can set up. It's like setting the room logos, the room backgrounds, colors, that type thing. But like I said, is you can do all of these put requests anyway, directly inside of the whereby platform, okay, just to keep it uniform when you're doing your video meetings. All right, so like I said, let's go back to the top here underneath the actual post request. All right, so let's open up on this, or let's expand on here, and let's take a look at some of the parameters and things like that. Okay, so it's always good practice to kind of read what's going on, so you know exactly what this request does. So as it says here, it creates a transient room that is available between the creation and an hour after the given end date. Okay, we'll cover that later on anyway. After this time, the room will be automatically deleted, like it said. Okay, it auto deletes. So realistically, we wouldn't have to create the delete function. Okay, we wouldn't have to, or the endpoint. Okay, because it already deletes it for us. But we're just going to go in and create it anyway. Okay, and the URL is URL for this room is present in the response. So it's not going to show us a URL inside of this example schema. Okay, because we'll get the URLs, okay, obviously your meeting ID or the host ID, and also the participants or the attendees URL, because obviously you have to click a link, they have to click a link, okay, where you can come in and they can view you can view them, you can chat, screen share, or whatever it may be. All right, so let's take a look inside of the actual schema then, because that was just an example of the data. And these are some of the objects that we want to look at. So in here, this is like the template type on how they're going to structure their meetings, how they're going to put it together, whether it's, the different types of viewer mode, whether it's, the rooms are locked, that type of stuff, okay? In here then, we've got more objects is locked, so the initial lock state of the room is true. Only hosts will be able to let other participants in, but we can see that's already inside of this template type here. Okay, so basically we wouldn't have to really use this one because it contains all the information here. But the main things we're looking at is we want the host room URL and also the viewer room URL, or the host is you and the viewer is the participant or the attendee. Okay, so room name prefix, so you can use the room name prefix in here then. So this is like a pre-designated kind of string or a text input that can go before their kind of code. So whereas you can identify the different meetings, it's optional whether you add any information to that or not. But the main things to look at here is it will tell you how to set it up. Like the string should be lowercase and spaces will be automatically removed. Okay, so obviously if you're putting any type of instructions for the users inside the application, okay, you can say, hey, no capital letters, it's all lowercase, all right, that type thing. Okay, room name pattern, room modes, start date. Okay, we already see that this is depreciated, so if you're trying to put in some type of start date, it's not going to function. It's not going to work. But we'll see this end date here then. So everything with whereby works on the end date. So basically after the meeting ends, 24 hours later, it will delete, that type of thing, unless you put a delete function in there. All right, and we can see it's a string. And also you'll notice that it's got the little red asterisk. So this is like a required field, okay, or a required object that needs to be inside of your application when you're building it out. Okay, and then we can take a look at this, like recording. Is it, you know, where's the meeting going to be recorded? Is it going to be streamed, live streamed, okay, on social media or wherever, okay, which you can do. And also fields is like, again, iterating back the host room URL and the viewer or the attendee room. But again, we don't need any of that, because as we can see then is all we're going to need is the end date, really. The room name prefix, we'll put that in there as an option anyway. And also we're going to use this template type here because it gives us everything we need. Like the viewer mode is set up, it can be set to a group, great, okay, and it's going to return in the 200 response the information or the URLs that we actually need. Okay, really, really simple. All right, let's whiz down into the actual delete function then. We can take a look inside of how we can set this up. As we can see, it's really, really simple. Okay, normally these are just little one path. Okay, it's just delete that and then the meeting ID. And we're going to get the meeting ID when we actually create the meeting itself. So we can reuse that ID to delete that actual meeting also. All right, and as you see here then, it's just a really basic meeting ID, done and dusted. All right, okay, so that's the main things that we really want to look at inside of the API documentations here on how to authenticate the application that you're building, and also the endpoints that you are wanting to use. As you see there then is that we're not using any of the get requests, okay, because we just don't need them. We're not going to be using any of the put requests, okay, but we are going to be using the post and also the delete or post or create meetings, and also delete the meetings. Okay, really, really simple. So what we're going to do now then is we're going to hop over into the Flochat builder now. We're going to navigate into where you're going to start creating your applications, or where we're going to start creating our application ourselves. So let's hop over into Flochat. Okay, so now we're inside of the Flochat builder itself then. All right, so what we need to do then is we'll head over into my contents at the bottom left hand side. And what we need to do then is hop up here to the right hand side and select on create a new app. As you can see, we create tons and tons of apps. All right, so what we want to do, the first thing we're going to look at is what type of application are we going to build? Okay, 99.99% of you guys will be using the mini app v2, okay, because it's so much easier and so much faster, rather than using the v1 is basically where you're going to start coding away with your fingers, okay. So basically the difference is this is JSON based, okay, JavaScript object notation, so it's a lot of code you need to type in, okay, but we're going to be using the flow based one, which is super, super fast. Okay, so first thing we need to do then is we need to name this application. So I'm just going to call it whereby. Okay, whereby. Okay, so when you're creating your applications, obviously you need to stay on brand with the companies that you're actually building for. So if I've spelt that whereby wrong, they probably won't be happy, all right? Or if I've got the logo wrong or anything like that. So what I need to do is I need to go ahead and go and check, make sure this whereby is spelt correctly, okay? But I know it's a lowercase b, okay? And that's all it is just that. That is it. Okay, so let's go ahead and create. Okay, so once it's created, then you'll see it's been added to the top. And what we can do is we'll come into the edit button here. And what's going to happen is it's going to open up a brand new dashboard that you guys have probably never seen as yet. Okay, and this is the app interface on where you can actually go in and start creating your applications. Okay, so here we are. So let me just give you a quick navigation on this actual part here. Okay, as you see, it's totally different from the normal builder, right? Okay, but it works pretty much exactly the same, which is really, really cool. All right, so if we take a look from top to bottom, we're going to see flows. Okay, basically the flows is how you create the request or the external requests. App fields is exactly the same as custom fields. Auth, okay, so this is the authentication process. Like I said before, is that this one is a simple authorization bearer plus API key. That's it. All right. And then we've got the actions. Okay. So what actions do you want? Obviously, we've got create meeting and delete meeting. Okay. That's going to be our actions. Triggers. Okay. We won't go into triggers because that's probably for another video. But basically triggers are if an event happens, just like webhooks, if an event happens on a specific platform or inside the application, then you can trigger specific flows within inside of your chatbot. i.e. if someone books a call, okay, you can then trigger a booking call flow, okay, or booking confirmation flow. Okay, simple things. One-time URLs. Okay, again, I'm not going to go into one-time URLs. Sources and the settings. Okay, sources is basically if you have an application that has lists, i.e. You want to list all of your funnels or all of your websites or all of a big list of whatever, email lists, that type thing. Okay, it will pull in that information on a GET request basically and list all the items, email lists, funnel lists, templates, whatever it may be. Okay, and settings then is where we can go in and add the logos and things like that. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go into the actual settings first. Okay, we're going to go in and add the actual logo itself. Okay, so let's go in. Okay, over here then is the logo. Let's go in and add an image. Okay, we're going to be using their official logo. Okay, let's select the logo. Let's come in. Okay, great. We've got the logo inside. Perfect. Okay, we can go ahead and add a cover image or documentation URL. Obviously, obviously we're building it within ours, so this would be inside of our documents underneath mini apps. But if you have your own documents, you can put it there. And also a YouTube video where people can learn more about this specific application on how to use it for their business. Okay, really, really simple. So once you're happy, you can go ahead and click save. We're not going to go into scopes at all in this video because that's a whole new video by itself. Okay, and also subscriber requests and unsubscribe requests. Okay, we're not going to go into that today. All right, so first thing then, what we need to look at is we want to create the authentication. Okay, so like I said, is Whereby has a very simple authentication process. So we're going to come in here and we're going to go into inputs. Okay, so our inputs then is basically going to be an API key. That is pretty much it. All right. So we can come in here, we can just type in a unique name, which is going to be API key. It's a string, okay, a title, so everybody else can see it, API key. And no doubt if you're downloading this application after, you're going to see what we're going to see here, but we're going to go through the app onboarding process at the end of the video anyway. Okay, so we're going to save this to an app field. So we're just going to save it to API key. Okay, just so we can use it later. It's a text. Okay, it's not going to be nothing else. Okay, and also a description. You could put a description on there on where the users can actually find their API key inside of the Whereby dashboard, okay, if you wanted to. And obviously then it's a required field. Okay, and let's click on save. Okay, great. So when somebody downloads this application then, or this mini app, they're going to be asked to input their API key. Once they put in their API key, okay, it will tell them if it's verified or if it's failed, okay? But we're going to put in the right API key and it's going to tell us everything's all hunky-dory. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on save, okay? Obviously, if you have more authentications, okay, or more inputs like web URLs or anything like that, depending on which integration you're building, will depend on the type of inputs that you want your users to authenticate that process through, okay? But like I said, this one's very, very easy inside of here. And this is where you'd set up the API key, just like we've just done. Or if you're doing the OAuth, okay, which is the V2, okay, this is where you can do the OAuth, things like that for Airtable, those kind of really, really big platforms, okay, that need different types of authentication processes. Okay, so now once we've got this set up, then, okay, what we can do is we can go ahead and straight into the actions and start creating the actions, i.e. create a booking or create a meeting and delete a meeting. So first off then, we'll hop over into create a new action. We're going to name this action. So it's going to be create meeting. Okay, something simple. And here then is create meeting. Okay, and this is what your users will see when they open up your application. All right, so now you've created this, then you'll see that we need to run a workflow or add it to a certain flow, and we'll be doing that in a second. Okay, but first off, what we need to do is we need to go in and start editing this actual application here then. All right, so we already know from the documentation, okay, it's going to be a create. Okay, really, really simple. Okay, it's a create. So the type of inputs that we want. So if we think back into the documentation, we saw that we needed the room name prefix, you know, where users can put in a thing. Okay, so we can just put in it here. We can just put in, what was it called? Room name prefix. Okay, something simple. We know it's a string. Okay, room name prefix. Okay, this is what the users will see. Okay, and now let's go ahead and add that to an app field. So we're just going to call it room name prefix, just to keep everything all in sync. Okay, I missed off the R and O. Doesn't matter. Okay, is it required? Yes or no? No, it doesn't have to be required. Okay, character limits. Need to check the API documentation to see if there's actually any character limits in there, but we could just leave it as pretty much as is here. Okay, and click on save. All right, so once we've done that, then we want some outputs. And if we think back to the documentation, okay, let's hop back over into the documentation. Okay, so here we are inside documentation then. So we've got the create room is exactly what we're doing right now. Okay, so if we come in and take a look at the 200 response. Okay, so if we come into the schema and we open up the objects, okay, you're going to see that we're going to need, so basically this is the information coming back. Okay, so we're going to need the meeting ID, of course. Okay, so we can hop back over and add the meeting ID. And as we see here then, it's a string. Okay, not a number or anything else. Okay, it's just a simple string, or inside the app, it's actually called text. Okay, let's pop over into the app and we're going to create the meeting ID. So we can just simply just copy that. Okay, done. Okay, so now we can come down into the outputs here then. We can just simply just paste that in, meeting ID, and this is our readable value, meeting, okay, meeting ID, and let's save that into a field, meeting ID. Oh, meeting ID. Okay, we know it's a text field. Okay, great. So now that's added. So what else did we need from here then? So we needed the room URL and also the host URL, right? Okay, so let's pop back over into the documentation. Okay, great. So first off, we're going to need the host room URL. Okay, again, it's a string. So we can go ahead and copy that, hop back over into the app. Okay, we're going to add the next item in. Okay, host room URL. We're just going to put in host URL. Keyboard's playing up. Okay, we're going to save this into host URL. Okay, and it's a text because it's a string. Great, save. Okay, and then the final one then, okay, was the viewer room URL. Okay, let's go ahead and copy that, head back over into the app. Okay, and let's add our last output. Okay, post. So we can just put in viewer room. Okay, we're just going to put attendee URL. Okay, just so it's readable. Okay, we're going to save that as attendee URL. Okay, and text save. Okay, great. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, so this is the main input now. okay, or input and also output. So this is the information that we want out. So basically we have the meeting ID, so we can maybe search it later on, but what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be deleting it. The host URL, so we can click on a link to join the meeting, and also the attendee URL, so they can click on a link and access the meeting. Okay, so once you're happy, then you can go ahead and click save. But if you want to put any type of guidance or anything in there, then you can do also. All right, so let's go ahead and click on save. Perfect. Okay, that's our first action actually created. So now that you've actually created the first action, what we need to do then is we need to create a flow. And this is basically what happens once this, once that action has been set. Okay, so we're going to create a new subflow. And again, we're going to just call it create meeting. Okay, create meeting. And click on create. Okay, so this now is just like the flow builder. So this is a lot easier than just coding in normal apps. Okay, so we're just going to use the flow builder for this. All right, so the first action that you're going to want to create is, let's just go into actions. Okay, so we're going to be using the external request. As you can see, actually inside of the mini apps then we have JavaScript functions. Okay, if you want to manipulate any type of data, set variable values, JSON operations, one-time URLs, OpenAI. So if you want to create any type of AI application using OpenAI and ChatGPT, you can go ahead and do that and sell that for millions and millions of dollars if you wish. All right, so let's go ahead into the external request. Okay, so this works basically like a little mini API call. Okay, so we know it's a post type, but we're going to need the URL, the headers, the body, and we're going to check out the response. All right, so let's hop back over into the API docs and get the post URL from there. Okay, so here we are then. So here is the post URL. Okay, so it's https api.whereby.dev version 1 meetings. Okay, so we can just simply copy that, hop back over into the actual app and add that into our post request URL. Okay, so this is where you're going to post it in. So we can just Control V. Okay, inside of there, then that's that bit pretty much done. Okay, so headers then, we already know that we need to add some type of authorization inside of the headers. Okay, so here then is, we can simply type in authorization, okay, because that's exactly what they need. And then they need the actual value. So we know it's a bearer, okay, and followed by the API key. So we can use the custom field or the app field value of what's been saved. Basically, that means when your users download that specific application, when they type in their API key in the authentication process, it will just move that information directly into here. Okay, it's really, really simple. So what you want to do is you want to set up a test, basically. So you can test the application with inside of here before saving, before going into the flows, downloading the app. So you know everything works inside of here. Okay, so we're simply just going to go ahead and add in our test value. Okay, so what do I mean by test value? So this test value then is actually just our API key from whereby. So we're just going in and adding a test API key here, obviously with a prefix of bearer. So that basically just means we can go in and have a test. All right, so let's pop over into the body then, because within inside of the API documentation, you would have seen on the create that we can add some parameters inside. Okay, and this instance then we're going to use raw, or basically JSON, JavaScript object notation. So then we can now push information with this post request. Okay, so when we're just writing simple JSON, okay, obviously we're going to have the open and close brackets here to kind of kick it off. All right, so remembering back is that we needed the actual room name prefix, wasn't it? Prefix. Okay, so that's that there. We can do that. And then we're just going to add in the actual value. And then the value we were using is because we already created the actual custom field. Okay, so we can just go in here with prefix. So prefix. Okay, so we've got the prefix, great. Okay, and then we just close that quotation off, comma, because we want to add some more information in. Okay, so next one then was the actual end date. Okay, end date, correct. Okay, formation, and then we're just going to add some information in here. Okay, so we're going to be using the now function, okay, or the now custom field. Okay, so we know that when the meeting ends after 24 hours, it's just going to delete that meeting. All right, really, really simple stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're just going to add in a new parameter, and this time it's going to be the template type. Okay, because we want it to pre-sort everything out for us. We want it to lock the room so the users can't share it out, that type thing. Okay, so this one was called template type. Okay, great, and then we can go across and in there, and the template type was called viewer mode, wasn't it? Viewer mode. Okay, template type, viewer mode. Okay, great, and then we could just close it off there. Okay, so that's already done. So what you'll see across to the right hand side here then, okay, is you'll see the copy from body content. Basically, we're taking all this information and put it into here so we can actually test it. So this is like where you can start testing everything here. So we can take out that parameter there and we just put in test app. Okay, viewer mode, great. Okay, but what we need to do is we need to put in a real end date here just so we can actually test it, because it won't pick up this custom field parameter, you know, curly bracket now, curly bracket close. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hop back over, grab an actual date and time. Okay, so we could just delete that out and we could just paste in the new date and time, and we just got to make sure that this is in the future. Let's just set it for the 20th of the month. Okay, so once we're happy, we're kind of happy, right? We don't need to go inside the authorization unless you want to create the auth, basically what we just done inside of here. Okay, as you can see, it's already created the content type application JSON for us. All right, so we can come across into the response end. So we want to test this request because we want to extract that information like we said before, which was the meeting ID, the host URL, and also the attendees URL. Okay, so when we click here, then we're either going to get a fault, okay, if everything's gone wrong, or we're going to get a nice 200 request telling us that everything's okay. It's going to give us tons of information. So let's go ahead and click on test, fingers crossed. Okay, great, perfect. Okay, so we've got a nice 201 response here with all of the information that we need for this application. All right, so how do we now save the information that we can relay this back into the flows? Okay, it's very, very simple. Okay, so like I said then is we need the meeting ID. So we're going to highlight the fields that we want to take out of these objects. Okay, so meeting ID, we're going to save that in a custom field called meeting ID because we've already created it, and we're going to click on add. Okay, and you'll see add to the bottom. Okay, so now we need the hosts. Okay, the host room URL, which is this one. Okay, so we can find the host URL and click on add. Perfect, that's added at the bottom. And also the viewer room or the attendees URL. Okay, so we can come down to here and attendee URL. So these are the three parameters that, let's just click on add, sorry. So these are the three parameters that we actually add inside of our action step, right? Remember putting them in the meeting ID, the room or the host URL, and also the attendees URL. Okay, so once you're happy then, this is ready to rock and roll. So all we need to do then is click on save. Okay, and then that's done, that's ready to go. So we're going to go ahead, click on publish. Now what we need to do is go back to the actions and link that flow that we've just created to here. Okay, so we're going to choose a subflow and create meeting. Okay, perfect. All hunky-dory, ready to rock and roll. Okay, so this is pretty much done. This app will work, fingers crossed. All right, so I'm going to head back over into Flochat now, into the actual chatbot dashboard, okay, where we're going to create the flow, and then we can go ahead and do a live test with inside of web chat. Okay, very, very simple. And there's some cool things that we can actually add onto the URL parameters, which I'll show you towards the end of the video. All right, so let's hop over into my dashboard. Okay, so now we're back inside the dashboard. What we need to do first is we actually need to download this app so we can play with it inside of our environment or inside of our chatbot flow. All right, so I'm going to simply just click on to here and I'm going to go to mini apps and download the mini app. Okay, so now we're inside the main dashboard underneath mini apps tab. Okay, we're going to come in here and install the app. So we need to come in here and find the whereby. Okay, and as you see, it's up here on the top left hand side. So let's go select. So the first thing that we'll see then is when we click on the install. Okay, what you're going to see is we're going to see that we have to insert our API key. Okay, that's exactly what we created with inside of the app builder itself, where we typed in the API key, and you're simply just going to type it in here. All right, so let me shoot across into whereby and get my API key. Great. Okay, I've just posted the API key in and click on save, and then we should get a verified that it's okay. Okay, up the top there, app is now updated. Cool. Right, let's go into the actual the builder itself. Okay, so let's just go up. Okay, let's go into omnichannel. Open up the bot. Okay, I've already created a pre-designated flow for this anyway, just to speed it up. But what we're going to do is we're going to add the actual app that we've actually created into it. Okay, so now we're inside of the actual flow itself. Okay, so we've gone ahead and just created a few steps here just to speed things up, but we'll go through the process anyway. Obviously here at the front then you'll see that we want to collect the user's email address. It's up to you whether you want to or not, but we're going to show you a way of when the meeting ends, okay, it will send them a response straight away via the messaging channel saying, hey, you know, how did we do on the meeting? Thumbs up, thumbs down, that type of stuff. Okay, but you don't have to add this if you don't wish. Okay, and we'll just be using a simple thing with the inbound webhooks and also using whereby's webhook itself. All right, to carry out that process. All right, so in here then, what we want to do in this little hole, okay, we want to add the actual app itself that we've created. All right, so we can simply just click on here and click on action. Okay, so inside the actions then, you're going to come into integrations, and for me, it's going to be right at the bottom. So here then, we've got whereby, and we're just going to select on that. Okay, and we're going to open up the actual edit, and okay, and this is the create meeting action that we've actually created inside of the app earlier, okay, because it was a create. And then when we open it, then you'll see all the parameters that we've actually created as we're typing them in and showing you how to do it. So here is the room prefix. Okay, you can add information in there if you want to or not. Okay, so here then we have the meeting ID. So let's just put in meeting ID. Great. Okay, the host URL. Okay, I can't remember what I called it in here. So host, right, let's put in here URL. I think I put it as just meeting URL, isn't it? Yes, meeting URL. Okay, because I've already got custom fields already inside of my builder anyway. All right, so here then is the attendee URL. Okay, so here then is, again, you click on there, URL. Okay, which is the attendee URL. Let's go past it. Let's put in here attendee. Okay, attendee URL. Okay, cool. All right, so now we're happy is that when the users go through this action, okay, it's going to pick up the information, the meeting ID, the host URL, and also the attendee URL. So let's just click on save. Okay, great. So what we can do then is we'll just link the email process to there first, or the question step to there. Okay, so what we need to do then is then we're going to add or connect this block to this block, okay, because straight away when they come through, it's going to say tap below to start the video call. So let's just take a quick look inside of this message block on how this is actually constructed with inside of here. Okay, so we've got a simple text, okay, and inside of the join here, okay, so this is where we're going to input the actual URL, okay, and you'll see here that we've got the attendee URL, so we don't have to type in www or anything, okay, this is going to pull that URL dynamically from that post request, okay. In here then, you'll see that we've added some extra data, i.e. just metadata, and this is within inside of Whereby.'s documentation. So basically what we're doing is we want to inject some more information into that URL, which we can use later on. It can be a name, it can be user ID, it can be literally anything. But in this case, we're using an email, because what we want to do is store that email. And once the meeting is actually finished, we're going to trigger a webhook. Okay, really simple stuff. Okay, so I'm happy with that then. So that's the attendee URL parameter, question mark metadata equals email. Okay, you don't have to have this on here at all. You can just have the attendee URL. Okay, really simple. Okay, so the web view size, we're selecting full 100%, so it stays within inside of the Messenger platform without opening a brand new window. Okay, so it will keep them all in one place. Okay, it's great for the user experience, okay, or the UX. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on save. I'm happy, that's ready to go. And what you'll see then at the end here then is that we're adding notes to our teammates, okay, because we want to obviously retrieve the host URL, okay, because we don't want the user or the person actually jumping on the call to see that URL. But for test purposes, what we're going to do is we're going to add the actual meeting URL into here, just so it speeds up things. Or maybe we might just go through the live chat. We'll see how it rolls. So inside of the notify teammates, so this will be inside of the live chat. It will have the meeting URL there, so we can simply just click it or copy and paste it into the browser, and then we can go ahead and chat. So it really depends on how you want to manage accessing the actual video itself. You can do it directly from the Whereby platform if you wish, but we just find this a whole lot easier, because if you're inside of a chat or live chat with a customer, then you can just go hit share link, boof, and then off you go. Okay, so now we're happy with the actual flow itself. We've gone ahead and published. So we've already connected this into our website chat widget anyway, so we can go and test it live. So let's hop over into the web page itself. Okay, so we've just set up this quick demo web page here. If you haven't already signed up to Flochat, go ahead. It's all free. Well, unless you want the pro access, but you can get started to absolutely free. We have a free forever plan anyway. Go ahead, get started, go through the quiz or the onboarding quiz. Just get to know a little bit about you. And also don't forget to subscribe to our channel, where we're going to post more videos just like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and test out this website chat. So like I said, is that once the user comes in, okay, it's going to ask them for their email. Okay, so hey, what's your email address? We can go in here and just paste in our little test email. Okay, we can go across into here, and now we're going to get the here. So tap the button below to start the video support call. Okay, awesome. So we can go ahead and click on join here. Okay, so this now is from an attendee's point of view. So you can see it's inside of the web chat window or the Facebook Messenger or the Instagram DMs or wherever it may be, WhatsApp, or wherever. Okay, across 16 different channels. All right, so it's a little bit laggy because I'm recording and it's trying to do loads of different things. Okay, so now we've clicked on the button. Okay, now we've come into this part here. So it's going to ask us to knock, basically. Hey, let's get entry into your actual meeting. All right, so let's go across into the live chat, where we can then as hosts get our URL so we can start talking to this user. And don't forget that this is all happening within inside of the flow, so it's going to be pretty much instant rather than me chopping and changing web pages. All right, so let's hop back over into the builder. Okay, so like I said, is we sent our agents a notification of the actual URL for the host. So basically it's this one here. So we can simply just copy that. Okay, so we just put this into the website browser, but as you can see, you can't see my video because I'm talking here. So let's go ahead and try and close this video. Okay, so now I'm here inside the meeting. Sorry, it's probably a little bit laggy because I'm recording live and also recording videos. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop back over into where the user would be inside of the web chat and send the knock request so they can enter this room. All right, so let's pop over into that website. Okay, so I'm here as a user. I'm simply going to knock. Okay, so here then it's waiting for the reply, which is waiting for me. Let's go back into my dashboard. And as you will see then at the top here is Pete is requesting to join. So we're going to let him in, which is me. All right. Okay, so let's pop back over into the website and you'll see me on the screen inside of the web chat. So here we are. I don't know whether it's duplicating my voice, but we'll quickly go through this. But here you'll see me inside of the web chat window, Instagram, Facebook, wherever it may be inside there. Okay, so like I mentioned before, was we were using the webhook from Whereby. So when a user closes the meeting or leaves it, okay, it's going to send us a response. So let's go ahead and click on leave. Okay, so it automatically closes the window, and now you'll see the chatbot's typing away. Great chatting with you today. Let us know how we did. Okay, something really simple like that, just to gauge some kind of, whatever you want to do. You don't have to have that in if you don't want to. Okay, and this is using that question mark, the data equals email. Okay, you can use it for user ID or whatever it may be. Okay, and then we could just click on the thumbs up as a user. Okay, and it's like, great, bit of Wayne's World in there. Okay, they're happy, we're done. We've closed the conversation up until the next time. So what we'll do is we'll hop over into, back into the actual Flochat dashboard, and we'll show you the metadata, setting up the webhook, and where to find the webhook inside of Whereby also. So let's go over there. Okay, so we're straight into the tools tab underneath the inbound webhook. So we're using this webhook URL here. Then we've copied this and we've pasted that into the Whereby webhook kind of space, which we'll show you in a second. And when you're actually listening to the test data, obviously you need to run a test to get information back. Okay, you'll see that we've got this metadata. Okay, so that's because we put the string on the end of the URL, the question mark metadata equals email. Okay, so then it knows where to send that response to. Okay, and like I said, is that you could use the user NS if you wish. Okay, so you could have metadata or question mark metadata equals user NS if you wish. Okay, or contact ID or even phone number. Okay, but in this instance is that we're simply just previewing the payload here. Okay, and then we're mapping the actual response field, okay, or the sample data from the metadata here, okay, to the email, and we paste it in there, and then we're just saving it at the bottom, and that will help us then follow up and close the conversation after that video call. Okay, let's come out of here, and what we'll do is we'll hop over into the actual flow itself to show you where this goes on the back end of this. So if I just close this down here. Okay, if you look at the bottom, then you've got the Whereby meeting end. Okay, and we're sending it to our main flow in this example. So let's hop over into the main flow. Okay, so here's the main flow itself then. So it's going to continue to the next step as soon as that webhook is triggered, okay, from that inbound webhook. Okay, we're going to use the close pop-up function inside of actions, which is going to close the window down of the video call. And here then you'll see the exact text that we had. Great chatting with you today. Let us know how we did. Okay, really simple. Up or down, yes or no, mark them out of 10, whatever it may be. Okay, and obviously if you're using things like Facebook, you can put in the actual, I can't remember what it's called top of my head because I'm just so much inside of this at the minute. Basically where they can rate you on Facebook, which is really, really cool. And here then, obviously if it comes down, sorry to hear that, how can we improve our video support? And then obviously we've got the little Wayne's World, okay, GIF on there. So that's pretty much how you set that up. So how do we set this up inside of Whereby itself? So let me hop over into my Whereby dashboard. Okay, so here we are inside the Whereby dashboard. We're underneath the configure tab here. Okay, here then is the API key. So this is where you're going to generate the API key so you can add it to the mini application inside of Flowchat. Okay, and then if we come down, then you have like allowed domains. This is if you're embedding. Okay, so you can have webinars on your website if you wish, using Whereby. And down here, then this is where you're going to add that inbound webhook URL. Okay, and you'll see that we've already added ours in because obviously we've just tested it. Okay, and then we've highlighted the actual the kind of parameters or the kind of the endpoints on where we want to trigger that webhook. Obviously we're using the room session ended or room client left. Okay, either or. So if we end it, it sends them a message and closes their window. Okay, if they end it, it closes their window and sends them a message. So we've got kind of all bases covered there. So as you can see, it's really simple kind of thing to put together. I know this video was quite long and we haven't covered the actual the other endpoint, which is the delete, but it's so easy. All it is just that URL and then adding in the meeting ID, which we captured from the creating the meeting anyway. So hopefully guys that you'll kind of understand on how this works and how you can start implementing your own kind of integrations, your own mini applications inside. And like we've shown you way back when, is that you can actually go in and start creating AI applications that you can go ahead and sell directly within inside the platform, or you can use them as a service to help you, create more AI services or whatever it may be for your customers, users, or whoever. All right, guys, any questions, always be sure to reach out below. Send us a PM, send us a DM, comment below this video, email us or whatever. But don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Okay, we really appreciate your support again on helping us grow Flochat here. And be sure to grab a free trial too, or just stay on the free forever plan. Anyway, guys, I will leave you to it. You have a great day and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.